Hello and welcome back. Welcome. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, but I haven't been able to come to a logical conclusion, more of just this understood feeling. But it's about sadness and happiness, right? Are they not the same thing? Oh, okay. Just hear me out. Because when I'm super happy, it makes me cry, right? And it's because of all the sadness that when I'm witnessing something of intense beauty or just goodness, like watching people love each other, like I will break down in tears. And I'm bringing this up because it's interesting. This is the evolution of the healing journey. There are documents that exist in my house of my old, what's it called? Whatever, paperwork, filings, records, mental health records, whatever. And there's a folder in there when I used to do the women's trauma group program. And there's papers in there, like worksheets to fill out and whatnot. And one of them said, one of the questions on the worksheet, and like we filled them out, so I'm the one answering these questions. One of the questions on the worksheet said, what makes you, it was something about like what makes you upset. What upsets you? And I wrote on mine, seeing other people happy, seeing other people enjoy life, seeing other people be at ease, seeing other people be wrapped up in the beauty of a sunset. I hated it. It pissed me off. It would anger me to an extremity that I can't even explain. I just wanted to punch everyone in the face who was like enjoying the present moment. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to enjoy the present. I didn't understand that my past, present, and future are all the same, happening at the same time. And my neglect for healing my past has bled into my unfavorable present. I built a present that mimicked the pain inside that I was trying to suppress and run away from. Isn't that interesting? It doesn't go away until you release and heal. Doesn't matter if you change location. It doesn't matter if you... It just doesn't matter, And I hated that. I hated that other people saw the present for what it actually was. What it is. Beautiful. Sunset. Rainy day. Happy moment. Sad moment. And experiencing those emotions as they're happening. All I knew was rage. All I knew when I saw other people folding into each other out of love was rage. When I saw a happy ending to a movie, rage. I stopped even watching movies. That's a hobby. That's my hobby. Because at the end of it, I was always left in despair. And so I cut myself off from the good things of life so that I wouldn't have to feel the pain of my pain, the subsequent bled through pain that now created more pain. And I cut myself off from these wholesome good things for so long that eventually I didn't even feel that rage anymore. I felt nothing because I didn't see it. I didn't feel it. I wasn't a part of it. I was blind. I was willfully blind to the goodness and wholesomeness that this world has to offer. Upon refinding that, which came from plenty a cathartic cry, I started to reattach to the wholesome and simplistic, almost as an anchor to anchor me into this present, because I kept going back. And I kept going into that disassociated state, that suppressed emotional state, where I felt nothing. And even though I was now feeling the fulfillment of how good it does feel to be moved by the present moment, it wasn't enough. My will or my newfound aha moment, because my brain was so conditioned to go back into that state of either rage or nothing. That was it. And because of that, only having two states of being, that is when I asked myself the question of what is the point? And that is when I got close to my own edge. And thank the Lord for being like, bruh, you didn't try everything yet. And how freaking true is that? Because what I am now understanding about that time in my life was the negation of emotion. Right? The lack of emotion was boxing me out from experiencing the current present. So it didn't, because life is inside of the present. And what is the point to living when you cannot connect to your present, which is your five senses, which is going to bring in that subtle energy of emotion? I thought having all the emotions was the curse. Cancer moon. Look it up. It's emotional. So I looked at that as a curse. So I did everything in my subconscious power to... Oh, did I turn it off? I did everything in my subconscious power to cut it off. I say subconscious because I didn't consciously say I have too much emotion. This is overwhelming. I'm cutting it off. It was, I have too much emotion. I'm freaking out. Let me drown it. Drugs, alcohol, whatever, just a slew of distraction. And I did it. I learned it. I did it. So even when I got sober, I didn't know how to feel. It's a crazy thing to think because I feel it all. That's the only thing I know how to do. So that must have meant that I went through immense internal subconscious work to block myself from what is innately my functioning of all the emotion. And in doing so, it brought me to a point of truly not understanding the point of existence. Because what I see now, returning back to, but with tools, returning back to a state of acceptance of my emotions and my authenticity, and utilizing tools to make sure that it does not overwhelm and overtake me, but yet I still feel everything. I now see that it was the lack of emotional expression, not expression, like not even feeling them at all. The lack of even feeling any of these emotions, that was when life ran out of meaning. So what does that mean? My eyes are open now. Emotion is the true meaning to life. Emotions, experiencing and letting in present emotions and processing them in real time. That is the gift of life. And I'm only able to confidently say that having gone with it, without it, and then with it. Without it, I sunk so deep into a hole of despair, depression, and loneliness. It's crazy. It's a disconnect. It disconnects you from your fellow man. It disconnects you from the subtle energy that ebbs and flows all around you at all times. It disconnects you from your own intuition, your own discernment. You have no clarity. You have nothing. Emotions are literally everything. And if we don't know how to feel every emotion, we are doomed to an unfulfilled life. This is because, when we feel lack, maybe it's because we have a lack of stimulation of emotion. And also, if we're only experiencing one emotion over and over and over and over again, that too can be another unfulfilled aspect of life. Because what I'm noticing is that happiness and sadness both feel like the same. Weird to think, right? But I was watching that movie, Little Women and Sense and Sensibility, Jane Austen stuff, right? I bawl during those movies. But it's because of their overcoming of sad that when they're happy at the end, I'm mourning their sad. Yes, the sadness is over. It's time for the happy, but we're feeling sad inside of the happy. And it's all important. I didn't understand this concept before. And to be able to feel that, the sadness for what they've overcome, but the happiness for the end, Little Women, the loss of their sister, and then the new guy playing her piano that hasn't been played in forever, and everyone's staring at him because that's such a gift. And also another thing about these movies that kind of opened my mind, and these books, Jane Austen books, is the fact that we forget there was no distraction back then. We are social creatures, so they're constantly being social. They're constantly with this web of connection and conversation and communication, and nobody had a chance to suppress an emotion then. Because what was the point? If anything, the emotion is the entertainment in a way, per se. So yeah, maybe it's just how that lady writes those books, but seeing how those women interact with each other, and they confide in each other, and they feel their emotions and things like that. I have a feeling that before television and distractions and all this, maybe that was more of a thing that we were able to do more easily. Now we have nervousness surrounding expression of emotion, but we feel it and then don't express it. You're doing yourself an injustice. I'm telling you, from one who never got to feel emotion for a good 12 years. Feel it, bro. It's a gift. I'd rather feel something than nothing, right? But at the same time, I don't want to always be repeating sad. So it is up to us to build a lifestyle that supports a technicolor spectrum of emotion, not just 3, And even now, I find myself in a happier part of my life I still need to cry. You know? Because that's life. The beauty of life. No emotion. What is it? What's the point? Because, like, I can feel the texture of this blanket, you know? And, like, feel that comfort and the joy that brings me of feelings of safety, home, togetherness, comfort, relaxing. You know, like, from a blanket. And it's within these simplicities that are the purpose, the point to feeling emotion. Because I'm able to now, in this era of my life, let's say I am feeling emotionally unregulated, and I'm spiraling, I'm embodying an unfavorable emotion rather than letting it pass through with a message. And I'm spiraling into that embodiment. Bring yourself back. That's another thing. We don't know that we have that power. We think once we feel an emotion, we're trapped, we're caught. And this is now the emotion that we are being punished with. It's not a punishment. If you feel it on command, if you feel it in that moment, it will pass and it will go. And we are not taught this. This isn't something we teach in school. We don't even talk about this. We didn't really even talk about it in the women's trauma group. Like, they had that worksheet which inspired my own direction of rabbit holing and understanding. But no one really plainly says that yes, emotions can feel overwhelming. They can. But feeling is the point for why we're here alive in the first place. Take away all of the survival of the species and the evolutionary growth of humanity. Take all that away. But, like, as the individual, step one is feel. The wind in your hair, wetness on your skin, like a hug, the smell of lilacs. And it's because of those emotions that we experience through our environment that inspire us to act, that inspire and motivate actionable change for life. We gain from the emotions we experience, and whether they be happy, sad, whatever, they are inspiration for art, music, love, design, even architectural design. Emotion is the backbone of humanity. And we look at emotion as either favorable or unfavorable, when in reality, emotion is your connection to this earth, to this life, to this entire state of being. It is the tether between the heavens and the earth. We are the middle plane of integration. And hell yeah, that's overwhelming. It's a big frickin' responsibility. So why is not understanding our emotions, regulating our emotions, training ourselves to process and handle emotions in the present real-time moment? Why is this not of utmost importance to be mastered? That is self-mastery. And what is self-mastery? When you can master self, you can master everything. Master of one, self, is the master of all. And we build these lives that don't have room, space, or time for emotion. Because the emotions they can't coexist in the lifestyle that the majority of people are living. I don't have time for this. I can't do this right now. This is really sad, but I can't handle it. So what did we do? We shifted the importance to the fake life that we built, the construct, the structure. This structure was built without the integration of emotion. So why would this structure be of any importance? If emotion is the connection, it's the driving force of the point for our existence, then why are we not taking emotion into account when we choose to create our lives? We create our lives based off of a construct that someone taught, or that a suggestion, or a general unspoken expectation of society. And we negate the most innate functioning of a human experience, which is that of emotion. And we wonder why things aren't going well. Emotion is the point. It's not like the purpose to live. Like, the purpose to live is for the self, because to master those emotions, to master oneself, that's like the purpose. But the point? To eat a grape and go, oh my goodness, that flavor, sour, sweet, juicy. That is life. We cannot run away from emotion. We cannot build a castle strong enough to keep out the innate functioning that is human experience. So it doesn't matter the life that you build to escape pain. Pain is still a thing that exists because pain is an emotion. Sadness, emotion. So even though you can run away from your sad and build a life that never triggers you into sad, that too is an injustice. Because it's even within sadness, there's beauty. And you're missing out on that missing puzzle piece that is the human experience. We want to be able to fluctuate, to ebb and to flow, to feel, to connect on more than just a surface, but with our souls. And emotion begs us to do that. It's through emotion that we find community. It's through emotion we find connection. It's through emotion we find the support and the validation that we need. And also the advocation and communication of those emotions. And we are snubbing out that fire in fear of unfavorable emotion. But all emotion is favorable because without it, there's nothing. There is nothing. I could walk down a street and not see one animal when I was disconnected from emotion, when I suppressed emotion. I didn't see any. Now, I walk down the street and I'm in almost tears because of the little chipmunk, and he seems to be talking to the squirrel, and then the hedgehog down, or the groundhog down the street is waddling his way down to get something to eat, and then I see the girl cardinals and the boy cardinals and the blue jays and the red and the robins and these little white bellied guys that I don't know what their names are. They're just really freaking cute, and they got tiny little feet, and like, oh my gosh, that brings me to literal tears of mixture of joy and sad and just everything. Like the spectrum of emotion, I'm feeling them all. Just going down for a walk down my own street. And I'm letting myself be fulfilled by that. Whereas before I felt nothing. It was just the only thing I felt was the second cigarette I would be lighting in my mouth. And the draw of that smoke into my chest. And that kept me alive. At least I feel something. Because we're always searching for feeling. We're always looking for that stimulation. Yet we want to be picky about it. I only want these ones. I don't really want these ones. Well, without these ones, you're not going to see these ones. Without these emotions, you're not going to understand this. Without these emotions, you're not going to reach the next level of your state of being. You're not going to find the friends that you need that are going to support you. You're not going to build the life that supports you authentically if you are not processing your emotions in real time. And if you have a problem with that, that should be your only thing you're focusing on right now. How to label my emotions, like name them, give them a home, like just try to figure out like where they live, like where they're coming from, the message that they store, and then how to let them go. That should be the only thing you're working on right now. Not only when you feel unfavorable emotion. Like I was saying when I was watching that movie, like, I'm overwhelmed in emotion because of the wholesomeness and the nurturing and the thoughtfulness and the connection between these characters. Something that I never knew in my past. Not only because I was negative emotion, but also because I didn't have people like that. They were like me. We also negative emotion. And we just kept hurting each other. And now I'm in a friend group where all of our hearts are open. And we are practicing and processing emotion together. And we are trying to learn and grow within ourselves, but together. Through conversation, communication, questions, helping each other, supporting each other. And now I've unlocked the understanding of that connection that I'm watching in these movies. And it's sad, but happy. You know? And that is like the overwhelming purpose for life. Because, like, I think about the duality, the black and white of the before and after of my life. And I didn't even know this way of living actually existed. to try and begin to understand that I could obtain it, that's a whole nother thing. Excuse me, it's a rainy day, as is most spring days in Broome County. But upon that, I'm able to tap into the love of my friendship and the goodness in my life and re-feel the gratitude for my own simplistic based off of a witnessed subtle energy emotion that I then process, connects those wires in my brain to things, and gives me this release or this revelation of love. And then I have a deeper appreciation for my life, a deeper appreciation for the people in it, especially. And as before, when I was negate of these emotions and not understanding and this whole thing, I want to say it was lonely, but it actually kind of wasn't, because I don't know. You're not feeling that either. It's just like a shell of existence, man, because you don't even have the inspiration and motivation for self-care at that point. You literally just hook into your expectations and responsibilities, and you allow that to drag you through living life. I remember there was a time I just come home from work, eat work food out of the box, fall asleep, wake up, still in my work clothes, and just repeat. Because that was my purpose at that time in my life, was to fulfill a space, a cog in a wheel of a machine that needed to be run. Is that why we live? Is that the point? So that you're a placeholder, an emotionless placeholder in some other construct, some other expectation? You are devoid of human emotion. Like, that sounds like slavery to me. And even with that, slaves definitely had emotion, and we definitely, I'm thinking like Egypt right now for some reason. Probably because I watched Moses recently. The Prince of Egypt? That's a good movie. But, okay, that brings me to another thing. So, Moses, the story in the Bible, wasn't a big fan of public speaking. When God came to him and was like, yo, you got to do my bidding here and stand up for your people, he was like, oh, hell no. You got the wrong guy. And he was like, bro, I don't have the wrong guy. Just trust me here. Now, his brother Aaron, however, was a slave under the Egyptian rule, and he did believe in God, yet was disconnected from God because he too, being a slave for his whole life, disconnected and suppressed from emotion. We do that in times of survival. Going back to my story and this linking here, Abraham and I were both on that same page. Was that his name? I hope I'm not saying that wrong. I think it was Abraham. Anyway, we were both on the same page. We were devoid of emotion, and we suppressed it, and in turn hardened our hearts, and were unable to feel the subtle messages, in turn disconnecting us from God. Disconnecting us from the guidance, disconnecting us from the unconditional love. I mean, that was always there, but you can't feel it, and you're not noticing the guidance. You're missing the messages because you're not processing subtle energy, which is a scientific thing. That is science. We process, we feel the subtle energy on our senses, and then we bring it into our bodies, and we'll metabolize those subtle energy messages in our chakras into emotion, because emotion is what we can understand. But if you have a hardening inside your energy system, there will be no free flow. Without free flow of emotion, you are disconnected. The illusion is disconnection. However, you will feel that disconnect because you are hardened and closed, and you are not flowing. It's like an electrical circuit. Like, we are all in the flow of electricity. But if you pull your your circuit out of the circuit plug or whatever, your space is going to end up like a dead space. And that's what happened to Abraham. So God went to Moses because Moses was an escaped slave. His mom got him out of there, and he was in turn adopted and raised by the Pharaoh. So he was raised a prince of Egypt, hence the movie title. So he didn't lack. He never known lack. He never known the struggle, the hardship of the slaves. He knew fun. He had a brother. They had a good time. He enjoyed his life up until the time where he uncovered the truth of his people and who the Pharaoh is. Up until that, he lived in goodness. Then he went through the desert and he felt the shame and the guilt and he felt defeated in the face of defeat. And he counted himself out from being a good person because of what his adopted dad was doing, you know? So he shamefully retreated into the desert. So that's another reason he didn't feel like he was supposed to be chosen. He's like, I'm full of shame. I'm full of guilt, man. And that's why God was like, yeah, I know. And if you can do what I'm asking you, you will overcome that guilt and shame because you would have freed your people. And that would heal that suppressed emotion that you have. That would get you in flow again. You know, that would get you going again. I'm not sure. That's probably not how he said it. I mean, that's definitely not. I read that it's not how it's said, but I'm breaking it down for you. So, but he's like, I'm not a good public speaker, but he's like, yeah, but I chose you. We have a connection because you're still free flowing. Yes, you have guilt and shame, but surrender that up to me and you're good. We got this. We're a team. So what God did was he made Abraham the speaker for Moses, who was the channeler from God. Because Moses still was in connect. Because when he ran away into that desert, he lived with a different family and he experienced simplicity again. He reattached to his emotional expression by being a shepherd and taking care of that lamb and helping the sheep birth that lamb. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. And and he recognized that inside the simplistic is the reason, one of his purposes for being alive, because the simplicity opened up who he is as a person. The things he enjoys, the lifestyle he now wants to build because he was taught from the simplistic. So he's flowing again, and that's when God comes to him with the burning bush. It's after he, went through his own little dark night of the soul, and he's coming out on the other end. He's starting to, get back into the groove, and he's like, listen, bro, you still got to go back for your people. This is the God's will and whatnot. And he was not about it. He was terrified. And he asked God multiple times in the chapter. I actually kind of laughed because it would be chapter and he'd say it up here and then a bunch of words would happen. And the next chapter he'd say it again. He's like, are you sure? Because he really couldn't see it. He couldn't see the journey laid out for him. He couldn't understand this calling. But it was because of that. Because he had the blessing, the gift, to be returned to the simplistic and to be free. To understand himself alone out in the desert with different people, different perspective, different lifestyle. He was able to understand himself, the simplistic of things, regulate and feel emotion. He became connected again because as the prince, he was kind of like an ass. He was like, slaves, yeah, F you guys. But then he was like, oh my gosh, I can't even begin to understand and conceptualize. He's like, I watch your family and I see how much they are love with their life. And now they've taught me to love life. And now I can't stop thinking about all those people that are trudging away, building pyramids and structures of nothingness, of no importance, on the backs of these good people that are very much like the people he was witnessing in this desert tribe. He would not have understood that compassion nor felt that empathy without the journey through the dark night of the soul, which was in turn his rock bottom, his midlife crisis, and then turning that around by healing that through the simplistic lifestyle he found in the desert, which brought him back to that spectrum of feeling emotion. And with that compassion and empathy, and of course the guidance from God, he freed the slaves. So you trying to tell me emotion don't matter? Emotion is everything. Emotion is the only thing that's going to save this world. It's going to connect us all. Well, I want to see more people building their lifestyles out of the emotions of life. Because even the bad ones, the sad ones, the unfavorable emotions, they are still the puzzle pieces to the lifestyle that you're going to create that supports you in your authentic form. You had to feel all of that to know thyself, to know to transmute, to understand the inner workings of self, to be broken down from the complex into the simplistic, to recognize the only point is that free feeling flow. And if we do forget, like I did, don't worry. I believe that you will have a rock bottom moment like Moses, like myself, like a lot of people, that will inspire and reignite feeling for you again. You might have to lose it all. The distractions, the things you consider pain. Because let me tell you, there's deeper ones out there than what a lot of our society hangs on to as pain and suffering. And when we can break things down into the simplistic, we can free our minds, and our free will becomes free again. And we're able to build lives that support us authentically. And that means the processing and feeling of emotion and utilizing emotion as the key to understanding self. And once we understand self, we understand our self capabilities, which we then understand are limitless. And we are motivated and inspired to make our own dent on this world. Through emotion. This is the era for the creatives to become empowered as the leaders. This is the Aquarius era. What is it called? Aquarius. The age of Aquarius. It is literally time for that. Now, if you really look at our timeline, what happened after, the bubonic plague and the Dark Ages? Came the Renaissance. So if we consider what we went through with COVID to be our Dark Ages as a totality of society, then I guess what comes next is the Renaissance. It's the time. So we need to start abandoning the old constructs. The suppression, the take a pill and make it go away, the you're a man, grow up, don't cry. That all needs to go away because that programming will not suit and do in the Renaissance. The emotion, the color, the flavors, the music. It's our time. I'd prefer that we don't keep going like this, but the universe nature seems to know what it's doing. Every time we forget about this emotion, we get hit with a plague. I'm just saying, it's consistent. It's a consistent pattern. So Let's not forget this time. Let's teach everybody about it. Also, you're allowed to have full feeling of your emotions and processing your emotions without doing this new trend thing of crashing out. That's actually not good for your nervous system. It's not good for you. It's just don't do that. We need to learn breath work. We need to learn affirmations. We need to learn self-soothing. We need to learn distress tolerance skills. We need to learn communication and avocation. I'm not saying we can't vent and cry. That's very good for us. But this whole trend I'm seeing of crashing out, that's what put me in the psych ward. So I'm very confused why that's being praised these days, because that in the past is this big signal for, that's a big red flag that you've got deeper things going on that need to be resolved and worked with, healed, processed, because it shouldn't always be looking like that. I used to do that a lot, and now it's a trend, and I think that's hilarious because I have dedicated the last 8 years of my life to training my body to not do that, to seek healthier coping tools and mechanisms for distress tolerance skills. A healthy flow of your emotion is a beautiful place to be. Still working on because I haven't mastered that anger that I used to feel. I was like, I'm good. I don't I mastered it in the sense that it doesn't overcome me, but I'm still working on that response when you do feel anger. And I'm like, well, it's a sign of passion. It points you into the direction of injustice, which then opens up a line of communication, right? That's always how it should go. But old me is very ingrained with, I have to have a conscious conversation with old me that says, I really need you to sit down right now because I hear you. I'm validating you. We don't need you to come out right now. I'm going to validate you and pass on the message in a more respectful and effective way. Interpersonal communication effectiveness. That's a skill. Because anger emotion is like all the other emotions. They're supposed to be felt and passed on, not embodied and lived in. So when righteous anger comes, it is not my place to scold or condescend. It is not. See, it's that kind of stuff that is going to help us grow as a society. And it's really hard sometimes. It is. I'm not going to lie. People don't think before they speak. And that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves. I'm working on it. But that's the experience of living the human experience. So I will not shut myself out from interpersonal connection because I'm afraid of my anger. No. My anger is there for a reason. I'm going to utilize it in a healthy way. We're going to learn from it and put it into action somewhere, yet from a place of placidness, plasticity. I think I'm making up words. I feel like this whole episode I've made up 3 words, so call me out, yo. I was saying the word socialytical for a long time. It's societal. So you're allowed to be like, that's actually not a word. Educate me. I don't know everything, That's another beauty of life. I don't know everything. And that's great. And if we're in touch with our emotions, being in touch with our emotions. When we are integrated with our emotions, I forgot where I was going with that because I got mad about that. You're not in touch with your emotions. You're integrated with your emotions at all times. All times. They are you. They are you. It's like you telling your mitochondria to stop mitochondriaing. Oh, you're mitochondriaing in the way that I actually wouldn't prefer mitochondria to act. I would rather it to be like this. That's what we do with our emotions. Like, what makes you think that emotion is in your control? It's an innate action. It's an innate function. It's a function. It's not a feeling. It's a freaking function. It's an innate function. And like all functions, like learning how to walk, learning how to talk, learning how to ride a bike, you have to practice it. But we live in a society that closes us off from it altogether. So when we do feel it, none of us have the effing practice. And it's ruining us. Emotions just need practice. You need to feel them in a practiced way. And that's a fine thing to do, because then you can be integrated and your emotions can tell you right in that moment how to respond and process it in the moment. And it's great because that, and then having that deepens your connection with your authenticity. So then when you do respond, you're like, oh damn, I kind of like what just came out of me. Like, that felt good. Exactly. Integration, not separation. Integration. Gotta integrate. This is a function. Emotions are a function. You don't get in touch with them, you integrate them. They're not something hey emotions, just, anything you want to tell me today? No, you are not God. Like, you are not like this emotions are like your digestive system. Like, they should be one of the same of you. They should be all happening like this, not in a corner somewhere that you check in with every once in a while. Because that's what causes suppression. And suppression leads to depression. And depression leads to other things like anxiety and overwhelm and dropping the ball and stuff in your life and your responsibilities. And this all begins with the big word suppression. Suppression of emotion can lead you to homelessness. Suppression of emotion can lead you to losing your job. Suppression of emotion can lead you to so many negative outcomes. It eludes me that we don't recognize the common denominator here, which is suppression. I think we do, but not on like a mass scale. I'd like to spread that. Mass scale. No emotion is unneeded. They are all needed. Yes, some of us feel more deeply than others. We then need to have an established lifestyle to support the depths of those oceans, not to suppress those oceans. You cannot contain the ocean. Oh, who do you think you are? Who you talking to? You can't cage the ocean. You can't stop a tidal wave from wiping out a sea level city. You're just gonna make it worse. Stop building the city right next to the shoreline. And that concept is how you build your life. So what ocean do you have? When that ocean churns, what is it, let's say, ruining or destroying? And we work on that. We work on a proactive solution for that. Maybe we don't build so close to the shoreline, which means maybe I need more space than other people. Maybe I need more alone time than most people. Maybe I need more isolation than most people, and that's fine. I'll live in a little country cottage super far away from the shoreline, but I can still see the ocean from my bedroom. And then I'll get in my little toot-toot car and go to the town and visit my friends. Like, that's how I'm visualizing how I would then, that's me making space for my depths and being completely okay with it. It's fine. Because I'd rather live the life I need than the life I thought I wanted. I don't know. My soul has needs, though. And when we fulfill those needs through our emotional, subtle energy messages, we build a life that supports us authentically. A life that we need for healing, a life that we need for our nervous systems, a life that we personally need uniquely and specifically. And that's not bad. I dig it. I like it. Do I maybe have more rules than the next guy? That's fine. But guess what? I just don't hang out with people like that. I hang out with the people who are like, yeah, we get it. Yeah, totally. And then they also not push me, but they inspire me to then also step out of those kinds of, like, not to abandon what I need, but they'll also help me to expand and learn new things that I didn't know could be needs for me. And I appreciate that with my friends. They don't push me, they don't overwhelm me, but they also do still make suggestions of like, hey, you want to try this? And like, damn straight I do. And that's beautiful. And you can only build that wholesomeness, that comfortability, and that respect that you have with the people around you by being authentically you all the time. In a positive way, and not in a way that's like, ugh. Like, no, you're like, yeah, this is me, and this is what I have to do to support me. And that's that. I like it. That's great. I feel good. And so why wouldn't anyone else try to support you with that? So, yeah, build a life that supports the depths of your emotions. Don't cage the sea. The sea is beautiful and scary and also like dainty, but also roarous and rumbling. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the totality of everything. It can be calm, it can be stormy, it can be violent, it can be loving. And that's us. A little less on the violent scale, though. I'd rather us not give in to the violence. Don't embody violence. Just feel your emotions and let them pass. Because you are not negate a feeling. You don't become this disassociated state if you don't embody every emotion that comes by. You're not left as a shell. No, you're just like this revolving door for feeling. And that's good. And what you're left with when you're not embodying emotion is you, authentically. Because emotion is a messenger. It's a function of you. Just like thinking, it's a function of you. It's not who you are, though. And who you are will be revealed every time one of those emotions revolves in and revolves out. The you is here. And that's cool. I could safely say I have not met myself until like recently. Like the last maybe 5 years. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm actually like way different than I thought I was. Yeah, because like we're breaking and abolishing old programming and getting into that present mindful state where we can just kind of feel and sit back from a place of observation. And I'm like, wow, I'm actually more proud of the person that I am than I ever was. And I had ego pride before, let me tell you. But now I'm just like blown away. And that person's always been there. I just needed the self-compassion to unlock it, to unlock her. And let her, and to abolish the fear around feeling. Because the suppression overtakes that authenticity. You become the suppressed emotion. You become the poison. And we think that's who we are. I thought that was me. I'm not any of those things. I'm not really sure. I couldn't sit down and like list who I am. I feel it and I observe it in my mind. And I'm just happy. I like when the way I respond to things. I'm like, oh shit, that was a good joke. That was witty. You know, like I like how I stand up for myself, not through anger, not through crashing out, not through losing myself, just fairly intelligently. Hey, I get what you're saying, but I just want to let you know what you said gave me feelings of disrespect. So moving forward, I'd appreciate if we don't speak that way, you know, towards me. I'd appreciate it. You get one more chance, though, and then I just cut you out of my life. That's great. I don't gotta yell. I'm never yelling again. Okay, maybe I'll yell at my kid. I don't know. I don't have kids. I'm sure if I see little so-and-so, little Junior out there doing something Mom told him not to do, he's gonna get a little yell of his name, you know? Like, I feel like we all need that. But I'm not yelling to be understood anymore or respected. That's something I do in silence now. Because there's just other people who will respect me. I don't need to train you like a dog to how to respect me. Like that's okay. Dogs come already respecting you. You just got to train them to, like, have people rules. So I'm good. I'm not training anyone. Go figure it out on other people. I'm tangenting. I'm gonna just wrap this up. I think we got a good amount of info here. Yeah. Feel. Not just feel to heal. No, feel to live. Peace out, guys.